Welcome back to episode 362 of the Guide and Guns podcast. I'm your host, Troy.
And I'm your other host, Doug.
Well, let's see. I'm looking over here. YouTube is doing its thing again. I don't know if we're going live or
I'm
not.
watching it too.
We'll keep on going here. We use the podcast to talk about guide guns and the responsible Christian gun owners' interest. On this week's show, we'll be discussing the significance of April 19th, 1775. We may have talked about this a couple times before.
We probably did.
So I don't see anything happening over there. I don't know if is it coming up.
That's a negative.
It's showing it's live on all my feeds over here, so I'm flabbergasted. Says we are live on YouTube, episode 362, American Revolution. So I don't know what's going on.
I am not seeing it doing anything.
All right, we're gonna
Facebook
go over
is.
ahead, huh?
I said Facebook is.
Yeah.
It's
It's
live
showing
there.
Instagram is live. It's showing Rumble is live. It's showing Farms Radio Network is live on Facebook. It's showing Guide Guns is live. It's showing YouTube is live. So I don't know what's going on. We're just going to rock on and I'll upload it later to YouTube. Sorry for our YouTube live listeners out there. Well, I want to thank Bandwidth sponsors. Farms Radio Network. I want to thank them for sponsoring our show content and put things out there. They have been working in the background trying to make things easier for us content creators, and Sean has done a good job. So instead of spending an hour after every show getting things converted over, it only takes me 58 minutes. Now, no, it's, it's cut down. It's probably about half the time now. It's probably 20, 30 minutes converting files over, things like that. So it's a lot faster. I really appreciate the effort, and they put all the links in to things. So he's been working over there to get it better. If you're not watching other shows over on Farms Radio Network or listen to other podcasts on Farms Radio Network, please do and give them a listen. And
Yep.
we appreciate it. Patriot Patch Company. Jake has been sponsoring us and been sending me checks, even though we haven't been putting things out there, and I haven't cashed the last, I don't know, several checks because I don't, we didn't have shows for so long. I didn't feel that was right, but he dutifully sends them anyway. So we appreciate it. Sorry about that, Jim. We tried, I worked on YouTube this week. It's showing on my streaming software that YouTube is live. So I don't know where it's streaming to, but uh, it's doing its thing. YouTube being YouTube. But Patriot Patch Company, if you've not checked out other things over at Patriot Patch, please do. They got patches and stickers and gun rugs and uh, all kinds of accoutrements and wall hangers and metal placards and just a bunch of stuff. Go over to patriotpatch.co, patriotpatch.co, and give them some love. Tell them thank you uh, for sponsoring the show. All right. This 2 weeks since we've been together because you and I couldn't get together last week because Easter and other things. So
Yep.
we uh, we are back 2 weeks later. What have you been up to?
Let's see. What have I been up to? Sportsman's Daily Devotional, church on Sunday. Last Sunday was Easter, right? Or no, Sunday before last. Yeah, we did a show on Friday. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Easter Sunday. Um, and been going doing the church thing, and I actually got into a small group at our church, which they do that now, and I got into a veterans group, and they only do it once a month, and Tuesday was our day, and the guy that leads it was under the weather, so he said he was canceling it until next month. So I'm like, I was looking so forward to it, but I guess I just get to look forward to the next one.
Mm.
But let's see, on the gun side, everyday carry. I went turkey hunting last Saturday morning, and it usually always works out when I'm by myself, and I can get things done. But I killed a nice turkey, big and double beard, inch and a quarter spurs on him. He was a big boy, and he's got a brother that is a little bit bigger than he is, and he's the one I was trying to kill, but he got he got crossed on me at one point because I got a pre- I set my phone up on a tripod next to me because I was trying to video record it, and where the tripod is sitting right next to me, the angle is different than what I was seeing, and their heads were lined up just like that. And in the state of Georgia, last year, the year before, they changed it where you can only kill one turkey per day. Used to, you had three tags, you could kill all three of them the same day if you wanted to. They didn't care. Not anymore. You can only do it one per day. So I was afraid to pull the trigger, and then they finally separated, and they started to walk off, and I clucked at him, and the one behind um, raised his head up to see who was talking to him, and I smoked him with I got him with my Stoger M3000 with a 3-inch Magnum shell, Winchester turkey load shooting. What do I got in that thing? It's a blend of fours and sixes, I think. But he was 30 yards, maybe just a little further, and
Oh,
you can actually slow the video down on the phone and kind of zoom in on, and you can see the shot string when I shoot. You can see it come out of the gun going at him, and
oh well,
it didn't look like at 30 yards, it didn't look like it was much bigger than that right there, and the whole force hit him in the neck, and
wow.
he did not move. He went down right there. So that's the first one I've killed in several years. The first time I've hunted them as hard as I have lately. But man, it was so much fun. I got an invite. I might be going to North Carolina next weekend, the weekend after. I don't know which one we're going to go, but a friend of mine got some land up there. And he said there's a lot of turkeys on their property, and North Carolina season comes in this Saturday. So I may head over to North Carolina and see if I can bust a couple over there too. Because I don't know. After killing that one the other day, now I've got it in my blood. Now I just want to go do more.
Eat up with it.
I am. How many you got up there at your place now?
There were 11 in the backyard this morning.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. They come out of the roost, they land in the backyard, and about half of them circle around the house getting bugs, and they head out in the alfalfa field, wander off towards the back of the farm.
Of course, I could be persuaded to come to Kentucky and kill one. All you got to do
Yeah,
is say the word.
yeah. You buy your place back up here. I've been looking at some hunting land, but man, I tell you, I'm looking closer and closer to Tennessee to find anything that's not outrageous.
Hmm.
There's a guy got 30 acres over here. It's a side of a hill that's been cut off of. I mean, there's nothing on there big around than my arm as far as trees or foliage. They want $400,000 for it. It don't have no water on it. It don't have no fences. It don't have nothing. It's just a hillside of red clay. I'm like, you're out of your mind. People done lost
400,000.
their mind.
Yeah, for 30 acres?
30 acres.
No, no. I'd have to
Back in
be.
the day, man, I was buying land for man $300 an acre with timber on it, and just like, no, that land that was $300 acres now 6,000 to 10,000 acre, and it was
I
just
know it's ridiculous.
it wasn't like it had food plots in it and a stream running through it. It's just timberland on the side of knobs. It's just people going
Hmm.
crazy. Well, inflation does that to you.
It does.
Took all your
Brian's on
stuff.
right. Mm,
Sorry, didn't mean to cut you up.
I said Brian's on here with us tonight.
Hey, Brent. Saw Jim's on
Uh,
there, Brian.
Jim is on. Yep.
I'll get your
Let's see
shirt.
what else. I've been doing some. I've been doing a lot of radio uh,
Good.
in the truck and stuff. Usually when I'm traveling, I love having that radio in the truck. It's just uh, I
Makes
had
a
to go.
world difference, doesn't it?
Oh man, I had to go the other day, um, and park in a parking garage. So before I went through the little ticket place, I had to get out, take my antenna off because it was like 7 feet. I just barely went through with my truck. And then all of a sudden, I was like, nah. I went through that one down at West Palm Beach at the Publix.
Oh yeah.
I made a mistake in there. I forgot. I didn't even think about it. And when I went in, as soon as I made that little turn after you go up the hill, I
Oh,
made
you
that
went in
turn.
the
I heard,
parking garage down there at
"Y-
Publix?
yeah,
Oh man,
yeah.
you
And
break it?
no, no, it didn't break it. But
Yeah.
it sounded like the whole top of the truck was about to cut. I was like, what in the world? And then I realized, but it's got the breakaway on it. So it drops,
Oh, okay.
pop back spring, get the spring and
Yeah.
stuff in it. So, but, I sure enjoy having that radio in there. So I
Oh
talked
yeah.
to going to work this week. I've talked to Scotland, England, the Netherlands, and Ireland.
D Star.
Yeah, playing on D Star.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still scanning local stations around here, but there's not a whole lot of people get on there and
Everybody's doing parks on the air now,
chat.
or
Hmm.
or whatever it is. FR8, FR8, what is it? Digital long HF. I forget what it's called. Something 8
Yeah,
FT8.
FTM. Yeah,
FT8. Yeah,
yeah, FT8. There you go.
yeah. I
Yeah,
was thinking about FR8. I've got an FR8 rifle. It's a Spanish
Bri-
Mauser. I was thinking, no, that ain't right. It's FT8.
Brian said FT8.
Yeah, FT8. He's got it.
We need to
Yeah, I've
have
got.
a little God and Guns meet up on the radio sometime, and everybody
Yeah,
get on and chat.
I'm working on making a bridge for my node. I've got my KN4KLP uh, fusion node, but I need to get a bridge because most people don't, or not most, a lot of people don't have the ability to get in unless they're going YSF, and unless you've got your own node or you have access to move the repeater you use to my node, then you wouldn't be able to get on uh,
Hmm.
over here. But I've been doing a little research, and there's a new nano hotspot type setup that makes its own bridge, and it can cross mode, so it can bring in all the different. I'm getting a bunch of text messages. I'm sorry. Something going on with the family. I don't think it's anything kind of emergency, but I'm seeing different family members text me a bunch of stuff. So okay, nothing important. Uh, but that way you can come cross mode DMR, D star, of course, YSF to the node, and then you could also do Echolink and one other like P25, I think. All of those cross mode over, which sometimes those things work, and sometimes those things are a nightmare. Everybody's coming in at different levels and all that stuff. So I don't know. I'm looking at it, but it's a little bit expensive. The thing I'm looking at, so we may just have to pick one of these rooms that's not being used somewhere and just link up on there.
Brian said you got a Yaesu node, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he said he's got a
I've got
repeater
actually
there that
four
he
of
can
them.
steer wherever. He says he's got a repeater he can steer wherever he wants.
Right. I've got four of them. I got one in each truck. I got one in the house, and then I've got one on my HT while I'm traveling. So I've got four different KN4 KOPs, like a 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, it don't cost you anything. I mean, you just have to apply for it. All right, let's see. What have I been doing? I have been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot of rental property. Uh, we've got two rentals right now that are empty, and I've got like 35 applicants on each. But well, I got 35 people like on each one. I'm wanting to look at them, but I've only got like three applicants on each one of them, and the other three applicants, only like two of them are actually have enough money to rent it, and one of them
Hmm.
only has enough credit score that I would let them rent it. So it's been a lot of that. And then my granddad's house across the street. Um, we had the last people that were renting it moved out, and it's been destroyed. We got in there, and the floors are destroyed in the bathroom. The walls are destroyed in the bathroom. The subfloors run. They let a water leak go, and it rent the seal plates on both sides of the house, on the kitchen side and the bathroom side. So we ripped all the way down to the floor joists across the whole back of the house. Thankfully, all the front of the house is, as far as we can determine, okay. But apparently, they had plumbing issues they didn't tell me about, and it caused mold. So we've been remediating mold, and oh man, it's going to cost us thousands. I mean, it's already cost. I've already got 8 or 9 thousand into just the demo so far. I've been hauling loads of stuff. I'm so sick of people just destroying property. Uh, it's really getting aggravating that they don't care anything about it and just walk off and leave you with a mess that they've created. But yeah, that's what I've been dealing with. And then the farm's greening up. Everything's turning green right here. Everything's blooming and budding, and leaves are starting to pop out. Pastures are starting to provide enough grass. I'm starting to wean the cattle off the hay, and so they're all happy. And turkeys are running around everywhere. And I've been going coyote hunting several times, but the winds right now are so unpredictable. I'll be set up, and then the wind will switch directions. I was out, was it Tuesday night? I was sitting down up on top of a ridge, and the wind was coming towards me, and the coyotes started coming up the bottom. I saw two of them pop out of the woods, trotting up the bottom, and I had picked up some roadkill and took it down there and dumped it down in the bottom where I have a good clear shot of him. And they were trotting on up through there, and then the winds all of a sudden started coming out of the southwest. They were coming out of the north. They come out of the southwest and blew my scent right down on. And you see them stop. They turn their heads up, set their nose up, looking around, and then they turned and jumped into the woods. Like, gosh, man. I wouldn't even call them. I was just setting up, I was probably 200 yards from where I saw them coming in. I was sitting probably 50, 60 yards over the bait. And they were coming towards the bait, coming right up through there. And that wind just whipped it around and blew me up my scent right onto them. So that was aggravating. It was only night. It wasn't so rainy. It had been raining so much that you couldn't see with the night vision. So I was going before dark, trying to get them, before it got dark, because it was so humid and rainy. The thermal don't work too good, and it didn't work out so well. But let's see. Church Bible reading. Of course, we had Easter service, and Krista was sick. Easter, she wasn't able to make it. Kids, two of my kids were there, and then what else? I've been loving my little Tika T3 22 bolt action. I've got that Solid Sparrow on it. It is so quiet. I'm shooting subsonic CCIs, and man, it is dead on. I've shot so many groundhogs and sparrows, and it's so much fun. It's so cheap. It just, I mean, so,
That's one of the things I'm going to have to get is a rifle that I can put my suppressor on, a little 22 like that, so I can plink with it. That'd be fun for squirrel hunting.
yeah, it's it's just so quiet. It's so accurate. I've got a Hawk I think it's a 4 to 16 power. It's got the bullet drop compensating for the 22 subsonic rounds, and so once you got dialed in, man, you just adjust it for the range, and it's on. I've got one of those little, I don't know what you call them, like a hostage target, but except for 22. It's got steel plate. It's probably 5, 6 inches, and then it's got like a 1 inch circle in the middle of it. And I'm sitting at 60, 70 yards, and I'm popping that thing right in the center of that thing. It is so accurate. It's just crazy.
What'd you sight it in at?
I
How
sighted
far?
in at I sighted in at 50 yards.
50.
Yeah, because I'm just shooting, close range stuff. Most of the time, I'm shooting off my back porch, shooting. But I took it out the other day. It was trying to get that stupid raccoons out of the barn, and they've been making a mess up in that barn, crapping all over all the hay, and every time you climb up in there, you put your hand in something. I've been
Mm.
trying to clean them out, but but it's set up so you can shoot out to 200 yards. I got zeroed at 50, and then it's got a drop for 100, drop for 200, so you could just run in there.
Hmm.
Let's see what else has been doing. Ham, I'm still doing the Central Kentucky Amateur Radio Club 2 meter net. We had check-ins from Florida and one from Tennessee uh, week before last, and we've got some people checking in on Echolink, and so I think N1DTA is linked up to our local uh, repeaters, N1DTA-R, and I did the Monday night net at 9:30 Eastern, and I've been doing. Occasionally, I'll be doing the KY4X Mammoth Cave area fusion net on Tuesday nights at 7 Central.
Yeah, I hate I missed that one the other night. I was putting fertilizer out,
Oh yeah.
and the time I got back in the house and got the radio fired up and stuff, you guys were already done.
Yeah. If you got a ham license, you need to get on the nets because and if you have the opportunity to become a net control, because it helps you really learn people's call signs because you are hearing all these different call signs, you're putting them with the names. And so every night you start getting you know, you get to know everybody in the area. So now, I mean, when I first got on, there were like two people. And then with inside of a couple, once I started doing the net, now I know people all over the whole state of Kentucky that check in, from time to time, depending on if they're able to or not. But it also helps you be ready for emergency because, the whole reason for a net is that you're doing a simulation of an emergency net.
Hmm.
So you go up, you have the net, and people from all around the region say, "Hey, we're over here. We've got this problem. Can you relay that over to, emergency services so they can get some people out here to do this? We got somebody sick here. We got power lines down over this road or whatever." And so it's a backup communication network that you can relay information. So it's part of the training process. A lot of people don't know. Well, all they do is talk about what they ate last night. Well, you're just relaying information on a regular basis, but it's getting you prepared, and you sort of do a triage of who's most important. So part of the net is that you're okay, anybody out there that's traveling, that's that might be moving out of the range, you take those people first. Anybody that's on battery power that might not have enough power to get into the repeater, you take those guys next. Anybody with emergency, anybody that's got emergency status, of course they go first. And then so it helps you sort of understand how to operate a net, because if there's an emergency, you want to be able to relay the information effectively. Plus, when you're listening to what they're saying as net control, you're taking notes, and so you write down. They said something about they ate spaghetti, or what. It's not that spaghetti is important. It's that you're being able to put down information so that you can relay the information should you need to be able to do that. But so it's important, to get involved in nets, especially, like an Aries net, which is emergency type services, become
Hmm.
a trained weather spotter, things like that. Those are all things that will help you be a better person to provide information during emergency services. So that's what nets are
I,
about.
I check in all the time to our um Aries nets down here. I think they do them on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and that's the ones I usually check into. But I get on the Aries nets and check into those.
Yeah.
I'm like you, I hear call signs now, and I know who it is without
Yeah.
thinking about it.
Yeah, if you volunteer to run that, even if it's just like once or twice a month, it will help you pick up names and stuff like that. And the more you talk on the repeaters, the more likely somebody will come back to you if they get to know you.
Right.
If somebody pops up and you don't never heard of them before, and you're not as inclined to pick up as if it's somebody that you talk to on a regular basis, and that's not necessarily a good thing. I mean, but that's just sort of the way it is. A lot of the old timers wouldn't talk to me at first until I'd been on there. They heard me several times, and you sort of get accepted after a while. It's just the way it is. You can't change people. You just got to deal with it.
I've had people come back, after you and I have been talking before, and I get on, throw my call sign out there, and somebody come back like, "Hey, I heard you and Troy talking earlier."
Yeah,
I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah." Then we talk for a minute and get off, but people start to know you.
yeah, yeah. Everything's out there and open, so ain't no secrets.
No,
Let's see. EDC check tonight. I'm carrying the Shadow Systems XR920 and the Crossbreed Super Tuck holster,
oh,
and got what else I got on here? I got ED2 Defender Light. Uh, what else I got? Microtech SOCOM Elite Auto knife. I
mm.
love that knife. Gunner
I
fixed
used
the
to.
clip for me. So,
Did he?
yeah, he took it, worked on it in his little workshop. Got it
I
going.
got. I got to find some little screws for my Spartan auto knife, and it I lost a screw out of the clip for it, so it's loose, and I'm afraid to carry it or I'll lose it. But
Well, write them. They
uh,
probably send you some screws for it.
yeah, maybe. I got the Sig 365 with the Romeo Zero on it,
Cool.
and I like that thing. I was on I got a buddy of mine. He likes to carry. He's got a little Glock 42 that he likes to carry,
Oh, yeah.
and yeah, he was complaining the other day about his holster. He didn't like it, and he said he needed a new holster. And I told him, I said, man, you need to get a crossbreed. I told him several times, you need to get a crossbreed,
Mhm.
and he never would do it. So I was on there the other day looking because I like to go and see what they got on their overstocked stuff
Mhm.
because sometimes they run some pretty good deals on it. And I'm fixing to buy one for the Sig because I need one and I don't have it yet. So I'm gonna get me one for that. But I was looking at the overstock, and lo and behold, they had a mini tuck for a Glock 42,
There you
and it was $29.
go. Shipped.
I was like, yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I was like, all right, I'm gonna get that, and I just picked it up for $29 and shipped it straight to his house. I said, hey, you got a little something coming. I said, try it when you get it, and he got it. He told me he put it on and tried it. He goes, man, I ain't never had it inside the waistband holster before. He said, took me a minute to figure out how to get it on and all that good stuff. He said, but once it's on, he said, you don't even feel it. I like, and exactly, which is what I've been trying to tell you.
Just disappears on you.
It does. It just disappears. I want a mini tuck for my little Sig too, because
Yeah.
I have the little paddle holster that I put on to go to work and stuff because I can just take it off because I can't take it in, so I have to leave it.
Just leave the
Leave it
holster on.
in,
Just take the gun and put it.
huh?
Just leave the holster on. Just don't take the gun in.
Yeah, I could. I could.
That's what I do a lot of times. If I go into somewhere that I know that I get thrown in the clink, you go in any federal building or something like that. I just leave the holster on, take the gun out.
and I got. I've been working on that bad little boy.
Yeah.
It's a 6.5 Grendel upper. I got to change this rail out because I do not like it. It's the
Just carry your mozzarella cheese with you.
makes a good back scratcher at
Yeah.
times, but I picked up a Palmetto State lower. They had an Easter sale going on, and I think it was $129. And I was like, well, I need one. So now I just got to try to figure out. I'm trying to figure out what kind of optic I want on it. I I, I know I want a thermal, but I don't know. I don't. I want to carry. I want to have that as a backup gun. So if somebody wants to go hunting with me, big hunting, doesn't have one, doesn't have a rifle, I can let them have it. So and let them shoot that and get it all sighted in, and that way they'll be dead on the money when they get ready to shoot and good to go. But I don't want to go too cheap, but I want something decent, but without spending a ton of money on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can pick
Brian
up.
had a good story there. Did you see that?
Uh.
So he got stranded on the road, and everyone he knew wasn't answering the phone. After a while, got on the radio. One of the local peers asked the guy for help, and the guy he regularly talked to said he wasn't busy, he could give me a ride. See, radio saved his butt that day.
There you go.
Good deal. Yeah, he was just following up what I was saying that you get on there, Peter, and talking to people, especially on nets, they get to know you because everybody hears everybody else's comments. Sort of like getting your foot in the pond. But after a while, people get to know your call sign, and they're more than likely to reach out to you. Um,
Hmm.
but you just gotta keep trying. I mean, when I first got my license, I had a stupid Bofang, not stupid. Well, Bofang. Everybody has a Bofang. Start out with. And nobody would answer me. I would call and call and call and call and call and call. Nobody knew who I was. So the first thing I did was I went to a club meeting and then got to meet them. Then they knew who I was, and then I joined another club in Glasgow, and then so after that I started getting more people coming back and talking to me. But I
Hmm.
but I couldn't get anybody when I first started. And I hear these guys out there calling, the new guys out there calling. So I try to answer them. If I'm not on the phone or busy, I'll try to pick up and come back to them and talk to them. And then I'll point them towards the net because you get to know the rest of everybody on the nets pretty much because people will try and make a time in the night for that.
I talked to a guy the other day. Where was he from? Michigan? I think it was Michigan. He was on D Star,
Mhm.
and I talked to him, and he threw his call sign out there when I answered him on the way to work, and he said I was his first contact
Oh, that's
on
cool.
D Star that he got on. I was like, oh, cool. And he was talking to me, and he wanted to know if I got on a lot of nets and stuff, and if I could recommend a good net for him. I said, "Why? Yes, I can. 56 Bravo." And gave him Larry's call sign. I said, "They do it on Thursday night." I said, "You need to jump in." And I was listening. I checked in last week. I didn't get to check in last night, but last week I got to check in. But I was still monitoring. I didn't know what I was going to be doing, so I didn't want Larry to call on me. And so I was still listening. And lo and behold, I heard the guy check in,
Oh,
and
good deal.
so he got him a check in there, got on the net, and Larry does a good net that's a lot of it's
He
a
had
lot of
s-
fun.
he had 69 people last night. He
Did
was
he
hoping
really?
he was hoping to get 70. That's a lot of people
Man,
for a net.
I should have jumped in. I'd have been in
Yeah.
70th if I could have got
I
on.
didn't know if you checked. I just did a drive by because I had the mother-in-law here and we were working on supper and stuff. And I just turned the radio on. He said, "Anyone else want to check in?" I just keyed up immediately and got in and out. I think I was like the 10th caller or something on early check-in. Well, we're talking a lot of ham. People really don't care about that. Let's go on to the. If y'all are interested more about ham, let us know in the comments so we can moderate our excitement for it. I did get my extra. I think I mentioned that last time, but I did get my extra about
You
a month
did.
ago. Comedy. Guess a joker.
I do got a joke. Um, so this one is my granddaughter goes to a Christian school, and yeah, you see the humor in Christian schools sometimes. In a Christian school, I walked in the cafeteria, and there was a table with a plate of fruit. Next to it was a sign that said, "Take one. God is watching." Next to the fruit plate was a big tray of cookies, which had a sign next to it that had been written by a fellow student in the class that said, "Take as many as you want. God's watching the fruit."
That is a double entendre there, isn't it?
Yeah.
watching for the fruit of the Spirit.
God's watching the fruits
Good.
of the Spirit.
You watching the fruits too, California?
That's funny you say that. My granddaughters were over last night, and I was playing the song "Fruits of the Spirit" for them,
Uh-huh.
and doing, because I used to be a Wana commander, so I know all these silly songs and the hand things that go along with them. My girls were doing it too because they remember when they were kids. So we were showing the granddaughters how to do it. I was cracking up. They were laughing. All
What
right.
happened this day in history then?
This day in history, on the 12th of April in 1861, the Battle of Fort Sumter was the first battle of the American Civil War. The intense Confederate artillery bombardment of Major Robert Anderson's small Union garrison in the unfinished fort in the harbor of Charleston, South Carolina, had been preceded by months of siege-like conditions, and that's basically what's got her started off out there.
There was a movie that Matthew Broderick, I think, about that battle. You remember that?
Yep.
That was a good movie.
When they tried the gray, um, is it gray and white?
I don't
Gray
know.
something. That was an excellent movie, actually.
Yeah. I hadn't seen that movie in 15, 20 years, probably. It was really good. I need to get that, try to rent that again, or see if I got it in a collection right here. We used to have all these
Hmm.
VCR tapes. My mom had bought out a whole VCR rental store
Oh, jeez.
at auction or something, and she had somewhere in probably 10,000 DVDs and CDs that she had in her basement, like a library of them. Like, I don't want to haul this stuff to my house. We took it all and donated it. But I think the kids kept all the Disney movies because the Disney movies are so hard to get. But all the rest of it, pretty much. But I know I remember seeing one of those in there. I thought, man, I'd like to watch this again, but I don't have time to sit down for 2 hours and watch a movie hardly anymore. Seems like. All
That
right,
movie was called Glory.
Glory. Yeah, that was a good
Glory.
movie. Yeah.
It was.
All right. Let's see. Bible verse of the week. It'll be Matthew 24 verses. We'll go 6 through 10. You will hear wars and rumor wars, but see that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places, and all these are the beginning of the birth pains. Then you will be handed over and persecuted and put to death, and you'll be hated by all nations because of me. And that at that time many will turn away from the faith and will betray and hate each other. So people want to know a sign of the times. Well, there's 4 verses there, gives you part of it. There's a lot more in that chapter, tell you even more what's going to happen. But it's important that we know that it's not always going to be lovely, good time. We're going to be persecuted, especially if we're doing what God calls us to do. If we are um, being obedient and preaching what He had given to us, we're going to be persecuted. And if we're not being persecuted, then we need to look at our lives and see, are we actually doing what Jesus called us to do? Or are we being uh, Christian-esque people of the world? Are we actually doing things that are going to cause people to hate us by telling them what God said? Or are we trying to put lipstick on it and make it more attractive and water it down and make it less effective and more worldly? Just foods for thought. We're going into some pretty turbulent times, not because of election year, it's just worldwide. We see the powers of darkness in this world are raising their heads and are more bolden and brazen to kill, steal, and destroy, the fruits of the devil. When you see people killing, stealing, and destroying, you know who their father is. And when you see people who love their neighbor and who care for others and are compassionate and are laying down their life for their brother, then you know who their father is. So,
Hmm.
food for thought this week. Read your Bible, know what's in it, because you can be led astray if you just don't know it enough. You need to know it in and out. So whenever someone tells you something and it doesn't match up with Scripture, you can immediately know whose team they're on.
Right.
This see coming up on April 19th, just about what 7 days, 1 week from today, will be the anniversary of the shot heard round the world, the beginning of the American Revolution. Of course, we're talking about the battles at Lexington and Concord.
Hmm.
I don't know what you call it, battles, but it was the first start when what was going on. Doug, do you remember what was happening? Why it was that the redcoats were coming?
They were they were coming to keep America down. Is what they were trying to do. Their
And what were they coming after?
guns, weapons,
Yep,
cannons, powder.
cannons, powder, shot.
So
They're
you couldn't
coming.
fight back.
Yep, they were coming to disarm the populace because they wanted to enslave them. Well, they were already enslaved. They had a
They were.
monarchy that they were dealing with. And so, as monarchs are prone to do, when people get uppity, they come and start taking away their stuff and putting them to the sword. So, people in America had had their freedom uh, from England, by way of a big ocean. And so, that, and then the writings of several people of that century that were crying out for freedom, to be free of the tyranny of monarchs and oligarchs. Uh, so they started saying, it's not right that they keep taxing us and to pay for their wars, because the history of Europe was country going to war, another country going to war. They team up and go against the third country, and they break up, and the kings go bankrupt, and they take the money from the citizenry to pay for their wars and go after more things to more conquerors, and just war after war after war. And America is like, I don't want to pay taxes on everything that is coming in here because there's no benefit to us. And then if you go to Williamsburg, uh, if you've ever been there, there's a lot of important history there that helps you understand the founding of this country. That whenever there was sort of a compact between the king and his subjects, and there was a meeting house, and at the meeting house, one side represented the monarchy and one represented the people, and the people were supposed to go and negotiate and in good faith come to agreements on what they were willing to do, what they weren't willing to do. And over a series of years, I mean, it didn't start, wasn't just one time. It was started, 20, 30 years of more and more aggression towards the colonists and more positions of taxes and limits of trade and freedom and controlling their lives more and more all the time. And then they got to where they wouldn't even talk to them, because they used to have they'd have a door over here on the one side of the meeting room for the monarchy representatives to come in. They have a door on the other side of this building for the local representatives to come and parlay, to talk, to negotiate. Well, they got to where they just wouldn't even come in and talk to them anymore. They just sent over their edicts to what was going to happen. And so that became the slogan, taxation without representation,
Hmm.
because they weren't able to have anyone to represent their feelings. Sort of like what we are right now. We elect people who do not represent what we elected them for. They go over there and they negotiate big money things for themselves, and forget about who sent them up there. And so we're getting more and more to that sort of thing. I think But every once in a while, you have to have a revolution, is what the founding fathers said. Thomas Jefferson was famous for quoting, from time to time, the blood of
The tree
tyrants.
of liberty must
True,
be shaken.
yeah, must be fed with the blood of tyrants and patriots. And so every once in a while, you got to remind them, hey, there's more of us than there is of you, and we should treat each other with love and respect. But we were given the Second Amendment for a reason, and it was not for hunting.
It was not.
It was not for personal self-defense, although that is a reason, but that was not the reason it was written in the Constitution. The Constitution was a limitation on government, not a limitation upon people. And so we hold all rights with few limitations, and those are expressly laid out in the Constitution. And so we have a series of bureaucrats and pretty much unaccountable politicians right now that are trying to push us to the brink, trying to subjugate us, trying to intimidate us, trying to incarcerate us for having our freedoms. And so, but back in April 19th, 1775, a couple things happened and it wasn't the English were coming because they were all English. For the most part, most
Right.
people in America were of English descent. Of course, there were some Germans and there were some, Irish and other people that came over and traded and things like that. But primarily, we're talking about English subjects. And the redcoats, of course, was the military, and they weren't always British. They were sometimes Hessians, which were mercenaries that the English hired to take care of their problems. And the reason that they used Hessians is because they weren't English, and so they didn't have any problem putting a gun to the head of an Englishman. Uh, they could, they would do what they were told, and so they didn't have any family ties or any friendships or things like that. That's why you have to be careful about government employing foreign people to be your police and military, which we have happening right now, if nobody noticed. But they also are training United Nations troops in America. So, that might be something to consider. And so these are all things, that history can teach you. Hessians had no qualms about shooting down their the citizens of this country or the
Hmm.
citizens of England at that time. But what happened was that the order was to go out and to seize the powder and the cannons from the local people, because each community had a armory. That's something else you learn if you go to Williamsburg. They have an armory there. And what is the armory? The armory is like a collection of all kinds of guns. And Williamsburg is full of muskets and cannonballs and powder kegs and shot, which is your ball bearing size shot you put in your cannon or your big cannonballs. So they were sent out to go out in the countryside and take these arms. Well, the local militia, which were in existence before the British ever came along, because militias were needed to protect the community. Militias were the armed men of the community that protected the community from whatever dangers would be coming in. That could be other countries' militaries, or it could be Indians, or it could be uprising of lawlessness, or whatever. So the militias were part of the whole community. And
Hmm.
so in those militias, they held cannon, they held big kegs of powder for such incursions or fighting off the enemy. But each man was expected to have his own rifle. Each man was expected to have his own shot and powder and be able to provide for his own defense for his family. That was the expectation. Well, so they started marching in, and so they were met on the green at Lexington and Concord, and had a standoff. And at that standoff, um, Several of the militia were shot and killed. A few of the British were, but mostly more of the colonists were shot and killed. And then they marched on to the next town and proceeded to engage again. What happened on the return trip was that they were harassed all the way from Concord. I guess was the furthest one, wasn't it?
Hmm.
Lexington was closest, then Concord. But they were pretty much harassed by being shot at by snipers and people along the road all the way back to Boston. And that was sort of the first, shot heard around the world. Nobody knows. The British blamed the colonists. The colonists blamed the British. No one really knows who fired off the shot that it sparked it all off. There's several different people claiming it was different things. Several of the colonists were shot in the back, so they were walking away. Apparently, they'd come to terms and had retreated. And at that point, someone fired off a round and triggered the whole thing. But several of the colonists were shot in the back, which further infuriated. Of course, there's a great book. I don't know if I still got it over here on my stack. Yeah, it's right there. If I could see it, it's Paul Revere's Ride, and it's by Fisher. And it tells about the whole events leading up to April 19th, 1775, what all occurred, who all the different people were, who all the characters were in it. There's some really good stories in there, and it's a great book. It's part of if you've ever done the Appleseed program, it's all about April 19th, 1775, the history of that day, the history of the people that were there. It talks about being able, it's a marksmanship type training class. It's very, very good program. I think Red Hill Range is putting on that. Chris posted it today or yesterday.
Did he?
They're going to have it. I think it's going to be April 26th or 7th, close to the end of April. But those are, you can look up appleseed.org, I think it is, and it's great history lessons. It's great for the whole family. You use 22 rifles, and you take a 10-22 Ruger or any kind of a bolt action, something that holds at least 5 to 10 rounds, and go out and shoot paper targets and learn history. It's a great program. We're not sponsored by anything. It's a volunteer organization. All my kids have went through Appleseed. There's another one called Revere's Riders, which is similar. But it's a similar type group. So you can look those up on the internet, wherever. But just, we should learn from history and learn, what was the things that led up to the revolt, the revolution. And, it was not being heard when we had problems. It was not being respectful of people's personal rights because they were putting military in people's houses. They were seizing their goods. They were abusive, and they were tyrannical. And so when you trample on people like that, they'll take a little bit of it, but at some point they will have had enough. And then that sparks it. And it's best if you can negotiate and do like they're supposed to do and have free expression of concerns and negotiate and come to agreements. But the Second Amendment was there in case that didn't happen, that we wouldn't have to be under the tyrannical rule of someone who did not have our best interest in heart and were only abusive and looking out for themselves. So, history lesson for the day: watch out for tyrants because they're bound to repeat themselves.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, I guess thanks our show sponsors. Let's see. Patriot Patch Company, Farmers Radio Network, and I've sold just about all the patches and stickers. I had a big order come in last week for several, and I want to thank think everybody's bought those. Need to get with Jake and get a reorder, restock. And then we also have a Subscribe Star account. So you guys said that you wanted to send money. We had a Patreon and they shut us down and said we didn't. We violated their rules because of God and Guns or something. And so we lost Patreon. But Subscribe Star don't care. They'll
Today.
they'll facilitate the money. So you go to subscribestar.com/God dash and dash guns. And you can, if you want to help us out with any of the costs, we appreciate that. But it's not required, but we appreciate it. And you got the next two. Then we got Armed Citizen of the Week.
Hey, PowerTac lights. If you're looking for a good light for your weapon, for a pistol, rifle, hunting light, headlamp, or just a light to carry around in your pocket, go check our buddies out at PowerTac.com. And they have a light for anything that you want or could use. And they're great lights, great warranties on them. And if you use the promo code God and Guns, they will give you 30% off for just listening to the show. So go check them out, PowerTac.com. Also, Crossbreed Holsters. You heard Troy and I talking about it a while ago. They got some good deals over there. And if you're looking for a comfortable holster for pretty much any kind of pistol you want to carry, Crossbreed makes one inside, outside the waistband, belly bands, bedside backups, drop slides. Man, there's so many of them. I can't even think of all of them. But they got a holster for you. And they are comfortable, and the guys over at Crossbreed are just great guys. So go check them out at crossbreedholsters.com. Use the promo code GNG. Unless they have a promo code already running, they won't let you stack them. But if not, you see a holster you like, put in the promo code GNG and get 10% off for just listening to the show. So go check them out, crossbreedholsters.com. Hey, Daryl.
Hey, Daryl, good to see you. Sorry to hear about your dog.
I know that hit me hard last night, too. I was like, man.
Yeah, I got two that are not far behind you. It won't be long for them.
Yep.
They get to be like kids. My dog, he wants to go with me everywhere I go now, but he got to where he just can't keep up. He just goes a little bit and he goes and lays down, sits there and wags his tail at me like I'm about as far as I can go.
just wait on me. I'm a coming.
Yeah.
Ella's the same way. I know, man. I just can't imagine. She's almost, she'll be 13 in November. And, it's going to kill me. So
But he's closing in on 15.
is he really?
That's a long time for a big old dog like him. He's been 465 pounds most of his life. In the last little bit, he's probably lost 25 pounds and getting pretty thin.
Mm.
Got us a Armed Citizen of the Week.
I do got an Armed Citizen of the Week. This one comes to us. Where does this one come to us? From Louisiana.
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 Oh, Louisiana.
Louisiana. Louisiana. An alleged burglar is lucky to be alive after suffering a gunshot wound to the head following an encounter with an armed homeowner in, I'm going to probably pronounce this if you're from Louisiana, I apologize. It looks like, uh, I want to pronounce it Homa. I don't know if it is or not. Houma. Homa or Huma, one or the other. Louisiana on February 21st, 2024. According to police, a homeowner said he heard noises coming from the first floor of his house at 5:15 that morning. When he went to investigate, he encountered and confronted a 34-year-old suspect. The homeowner fired once, causing the suspect to flee the home. Police tracked the suspect to another area home where they found him hiding underneath a mattress with a gunshot wound to the forehead. The suspect was transported to a local hospital and was released after treatment. He currently faces charges for simple burglary and probation violation. A 26-year-old accomplice was also charged with burglary, obstruction of justice, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. That comes to us from WDSU News in Louisiana. I don't know what he shot him in the forehead with.
25 auto.
You think? What's those little 25 ravens? What a raven?
Yeah, there's all kinds of little ravens and ponies and what's the other little thing? Stars and a whole bunch of those little throwaway pistols. Beretta's got a 25 auto, a 950 jet, and then I had one of those. Man, those things are wimpy. Heavy coat would stop a 25 auto.
Yeah, I mean, you shoot somebody in the forehead
If
with a
it's on the
round
forehead,
and it don't take them out.
it depends if it's a glancing blow, if it's a direct on hit too.
I guess.
25 auto ain't much. I mean, I've seen some pellet guns more strong than that.
Yeah,
You
that just
know,
goes to show you carry. If you're going to carry a gun, any gun's better than no gun.
yeah,
But carry something that's got a little
the busted
behind it.
forehead.
Yeah,
I mean, even a 32 ACP is pretty wimpy, but it's better than a 25.
eh,
22 actually has pretty good penetration, but it just don't have enough weight. It doesn't have enough wound channel. What you're dealing with when you're talking about defensive rounds is the bigger the hole, the faster they bleed out. So if
right.
you think about, if you're trying to stop the threat, you either need to have enough penetration to cut a spinal cord or to, you know, blow a brain out, or you need to be able to put enough holes in the heart and lungs that they can no longer keep moving because the threat doesn't stop until they run out of blood or oxygen or both, because they'll be hyped up on adrenaline. Uh, I saw an interview last night of a guy that got shot 15 times with a 45 ACP and still put a round in the guy that was attacked him, one round, and killed the guy that was attacking him. He survived the 15 rounds of 45 ACP in an
Holy,
ambush attack.
holy cow!
Yeah, that it was. So that tells you, of course, but he was a Marine, so it, Marines are the supernatural kind of people. It's the crayons I think that helps keep them super
Keep them occupied.
strong, keep them all plug. They self plugging. The crayons plug all the holes, I guess. But no, we love our Marines.
Yep.
Uh, but seriously, that's what it's about. It's to be blunt. It's you got to put enough holes to you really are ventilating. You're draining them of the juices. We're sort of like hydraulic engines, hydraulic motors. We have to have the blood force pumping through us to operate the autonomic and motor functions of the body. You either got to deplete them of enough blood, enough oxygen, or you got to cut off the switch. So you got to flip the switch on the person to stop them from being a threat. And that's just the raw nature of self defense. So the bigger the bullet, the more capacity for damage to the vitals and the more expansion of that bullet. That's why you want to shoot hollow points. It does more cavitation, which creates a bigger wound channel, which allows more blood to flow out of these holes. Plus, it needs to have enough power to get into the vitals. If it's getting stuck on your ribs and stuff, never penetrating through the rib cage or never penetrating, through thick clothing or whatever, you got throw everything at it and hope that you got enough. And if you live in a state like California where you can't shoot but whatever it was, 7 rounds or 10 rounds, I don't know what the limits are. Some states are trying to go 3 rounds. I mean, you got to make it 3 rounds count, right? So
Well, that's like New Jersey. You can't shoot hollow points.
yeah, but the trouble with shooting Full Metal Jacket is that they zip through a person and they hit people behind them.
Hmm.
But you're responsible for that bullet, even though they want you to put a bullet in your gun that will stop inside of somebody, or should stop inside of somebody, or should deplete all of its energy in that person. So if it does actually penetrate outside the body, it'll be traveling a lot less speed and it'll be a lot less mass because it should have opened up and discharged most of its weight and energy inside of that target. I don't mean to be callous, but that's the dynamics of bullets, right? So you're further endangering people by you shooting with hollow points because they zip right through and go through drywall and hit people on the other side of the house and all that kind of stuff. So facts. So,
Daryl says 10 rounds.
10 rounds, California
Yep.
per magazine. And so it's important that, you know what your gun can do. You know that you've got the most potent round you can have. You don't want to be carrying, you know, the lawyers that I've talked to about defensive strategy is carry what the police are carrying. If the police are carrying XYZ, carry XYZ. If you can get a gun that's similar to what the police are carrying, it's a whole lot easier to defend yourself in court. And if you got, some super guru gun and some exotic rounds that are made by Japanese scientists in Okinawa with nuclear fission, those things might get you thrown in prison. But if you stay with whatever is the factory load for the local police department, you're probably pretty safe. So, I'm never going to say you're safe. You're probably less likely to be able to be. Although he was out looking to kill people, he had bear rounds in his gun, and he was trying to shoot hard cast lead bullets in people.
Yeah.
And yeah, not that those aren't good rounds to have when you're in bear areas. If you lived in bear areas, I probably would have bear loads because that would be a good defense.
I got a buddy of mine trying to get me to. He's trying to give me a good deal, which he kind of is, on a Smith and Wesson 500 Magnum, and I
You
want
need
it.
that. You
I
need that.
want it so bad, dude. You just don't even know.
Oh, I know.
Oh,
But do you really? I mean, do you really go out and shoot that much 500 Smith and Wesson Magnum?
I don't shoot any because I don't have one.
Yeah, but don't you have a 460 or something?
No, I got a 44. I
You
was
have
going to
44.
get
I thought you had.
I was going to get a 460. I
Oh,
was
okay.
debating on whether or not to get the 460 or the 500, and I couldn't decide. And I wound
Well,
up
the
not buying
460 you can shoot the 454 Casull, the 460, and the 4 something else, 458 line ball or something.
either. Yep,
I think there's 3 different rounds you can shoot in that, which
you
is
can.
pretty cool.
You shoot 460, 454 Casull, or
450 something line ball or something like that. What is that thing?
four,
Maybe 45 long Colt.
it, it might be.
I don't know. Irregardless, I like them, but I never would shoot it. It would sit in the safe. It's a cool
Oh,
thing.
I'd shoot it.
I shoot Puff, and so Puff is the same thing as a 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum, except I got a 50 round drum, so I don't have to drop out the 6 shells and put in more.
Right. Now,
Yeah,
see,
it's a
I would carry
308
it.
with a drum mag. Yeah, it's a party favor. It brings smiles to everybody, makes little children run and scream. It's just the kind of thing that it's to break out at parties. It's to break out at campouts and stuff like that. In today's zombie apocalypse, it's just that kind of gun. If it don't blow them into pieces, it'll set them on fire with the 18-foot fireball that rolls out of the thing. Let's roll this thing up here, Doug. We're going to call it a night. People are going to be passing out. So we're 10 minutes over, and there's old geriatric people laying on the couch, drooling on themselves. We got to wrap it up. Send your feet back
Hey,
to. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's 454, 460, and a 45
Long Colt?
long Colt. Yep.
Okay. I was thinking there was like a 455. It's sort of like a line ball or something like that. There was some kind of cartridge I think also fits it, but it's sort of it's not a off the factory. It's what do you call it? Wildcat cartridge.
Right.
All right. Send feedback to TroyGuyGunsPodcast.com or
Doug at GodandGunsPodcast.com.
please tell your friends about us. Leave us an iTunes review. Like us on Facebook, Facebook.com. Let's see. No, // God and Guns Podcast. Subscribe to us and follow us on YouTube. I don't know why. There's stuff being posted up. I don't know what's going on over there. It's time to revolt. Search for us on the Instagram. We should be live on Instagram right now. I don't know why this thing is even in there anymore. We don't talk about that. We're on Rumble Live right now. If you don't have us in your Rumble feed, make sure you find us and put us in your Rumble feed. Search for us on MeWe. Our website is GottenGunsPodcast.com. Until next time, Doug, have a blessed week.
And keep your guns close, but keep your Bibles closer. You guys have a great night.
Great. Thank y'all for watching. Talk to y'all soon. Adios.